I'm waiting for some people to jump on the line for you to listen to this wonderful new intro music we have to the show. This is what I've been listening to for over an hour. This is what I've been listening to for over an hour. So this is one of the few reasons, and that it only costs $10 a month, that I keep a landline. So I am going to be on hold with these knuckleheads, and I'm going to set this phone call off to the side, and maybe sometime after midnight, when they finally put me on the line and I get to talk with them, maybe you'll get to enjoy the conversation that I'm going to have with these knuckleheads. Okay, so here we go. We're going to talk college football here. I'm going to put this to the side and just understand that there may be an interruption at some point in which I will need to take this call with this phone company that is certainly lacking in customer support and customer service. Just put it off there to the side. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Minus phone lines. All right, maybe I left that phone a little bit too close because it's going to be irritating to me listening to that horrible, horrible, atrocious music, on-call music, and then the lovely lady that I'm sure enters every so often to let me know that they're going to get to my call in just a minute, although it's been about 70 minutes. All right, welcome to the voice of college football. Thank you for calling Pure Talk. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. They've put me on hold. They put me on hold for 75 minutes, something in that range. And now they're telling me that their offices are closed. So I'm going to have an amazing conversation with these morons tomorrow. I may even clip off this show for them and send it to them, because I'm always asking for sponsors. I think I'm going to be going into the anti-sponsor mode. This is going to be anti-sponsorship week. We're going to be listing the companies that I have an issue with, and they have vaulted to the top of the list. How amazing was that? All right. Here's the deal. All right. We will get to our NCAA tournament brackets. Maybe this might be the very best endorsement I have for the super chat right there. Oh, my word. So basically, I was setting up the call-in system that goes through the callinstudio.com. And well, it actually happened much earlier this afternoon where I had an issue with my phone, and I then had to continue the conversation on a landline. And so then I thought, well, when I get done with this conversation, I will figure out what happened. Back in October, so in October, I left ESPN, of which they took care of all my phone needs. And so I had to purchase a phone and a phone plan for the first time in a long time, years. So I went with this Pure Talk, and it's very cheap. It's very cheap. And when it's working, it's phenomenal, because I've not had any issues with service or no issues, and it's clear and everything's fine. But there was an incident 2 or 3 months ago in which all of a sudden my phone went dead. And I was like, okay, what happened there? So I called in and figured out that just wires got crossed, and they said, totally our fault. That had nothing to do with anything you did wrong. You're paying your bills. Just They explained some kind of technicality that all of a sudden they just switched off my service. Okay, that happened a couple months ago. Then this afternoon, I'm on the phone, not making any more phone calls than I typically do. And all of a sudden, phone call's gone. I try to dial back and I'm being told that my balance is too low. Well, I was guaranteed when I signed up that that would never happen to me. I said, just continue to feed whatever amount of money I need to feed into the system. You're telling me that I will never have service interrupted, correct? They guaranteed me I will never have service interrupted. But today they cut off my phone service and I can't get back in touch with them. So I was in the process of trying to go into the call-in studio to set up the phone lines for tonight's show, thinking I'll be able to get them on the line because I was able to, with the last incident, get them on the line immediately within a couple minutes. They'll clear it up. They just got to switch something on. Boom. Then I'll set up the call-in studio and we'll be all set for a call-in show tonight. However, what ended up happening was they put me on hold for 75 minutes. And then at the end of the 75 minutes, they tell me they're closed. So I've got no cell phone. And we couldn't do our call-in show because even though I'm no longer using my cell phone to take the calls, I have to call the call-in studio from my cell phone. All right, that's my saga today. The voice of college football without a cell phone because of this. At least in this instance, I'm not going to paint them with a broad brush, but in this particular instance, incompetent company, incompetent customer service. Horrible, pathetic. So I don't know what they're going to need to do to make up for this issue and this inconvenience. All right. I guess I'm going to have to explain to these people tomorrow. You're speaking to the voice of college football. I had a call-in show last night. You've interrupted my call-in show. It was 75 or 80 minutes late. Then on top of that, I could not take calls because of your incompetency. Therefore, what are you going to do? You're going to sponsor my show for a month? Throw me a couple thousand? What's going to have to happen here? All right. I'm interested to get into the live chat, which I'm sure for the first hour plus was everybody basically saying what's going on. There's probably nobody watching right now. How many people do we got on here? 15 people. So I'll claim that too. I'll say my audience of 5,000 was down to 15 because of you. What do we got going on here? Yeah, the Rod Farva. David, good to hear from you. Of course, Penn State Fan 24. What's up is basically our show's compromised tonight because of an incompetent phone company. All right, let's get to what our topic was for the night. Appreciate everybody being on the line. Unfortunately, no calls tonight. No calls. Man, I can't wait to explain this to the phone company. Cannot wait to explain it to these people. Just can't wait. All right. You probably can't see what's behind me, and then I'm going to have to read the live chat to see in terms of my board here with my 64. Could have went 68. I know it's 68 these days. It's been 68 for what, about 10 years? For just about the same length of time that I've not watched a college basketball game. I think we're at 68 teams, the first four, of course. So that would be 8 teams playing 4 games to get the last 4 in to make it 64. So I was gonna go the full route and go with the 68 teams and figure out who would be the 8 that would have to play down to 4 to fill the final 4 spots, or the last 4 spots, not to confuse it with the final 4. But that was a bit too much. So you may have some issues with some of these seedings, but I basically went through the college football final rankings to list my first 24/25, but 24 being an even number with the seedings, and then go through it from there and just look at the records of the teams and basically slot your 64 teams. We are not going to go through all this in regards to who would win a national championship, because you know who would win the national championship? The same team that won the national championship anyway, Alabama. And I'm sure Ohio State and Clemson would have something to say about it. So I would not expect, if we had this type of NCAA tournament approach, that we would have anything different than what we typically have. But some fun games along the way, some fun matchups along the way. Let's see. Can we see some of those matchups? What do I need to do? Boy, did I have to write slow to... I had to write very small, I should say, to get 64 teams on the board here. Wow. I almost went with graphics, but that was too much typing, so I went with the writing end of it. So we go to our region there where we've got... Alabama, Florida Atlantic. That was a 116 game. 116 game, Alabama, Florida Atlantic. I like this 8-9 game in that region. Memphis, Wisconsin. I think that would be a really good football game. Then we had where I saw opportunities to put teams together that would have an interesting storyline. I went with it. So for this one, it's Liberty and Virginia Tech. Remember the game that they played last year down to the final play? That was a crazy, bizarre game, which Virginia Tech should have won, but they blew it. Then we got a 4-13 matchup of the 2015 Rose Bowl, Iowa-Stanford rematch. I love this 6-11 game right here. USC and Ole Miss. That would be a tremendous game. USC and Ole Miss, a 6-11 game. What is that? A 3-14 matchup. Northwestern and Fresno State. These are from the 2020 season, of course. Then we've got a 7-10 matchup, little Pac-12 ACC affair with Oregon and Pitt. Then we've got Cincinnati taking on San Diego State. That was San Diego State in the 2-15 game. All right, we go to the next region here. We've got the 1-16 matchup, Notre Dame, Hawaii, Auburn, Boise State, Brian Harsin. I thought that would be fitting. Brian Harsin against his old Broncos, 8-9 matchup. North Carolina, UAB in the 5-12 game, 4-13 Louisiana and Utah. That's a good game. Miami and Army. Indiana and Texas San Antonio in the 3-14 matchup. Then we've got Tulsa TCU in a bit of a regional matchup there. And then the 2-15 game is Texas A&M taking on Kansas State in a former Big 12 matchup, in which, of course, they played one of the great games in college football history in the 1998 Big 12 championship game. All right, let's try not to mess this up. And we go to our next set of games. Wow, this is rough. Then we've got, again, if I had a certain storyline that I could meet, I went for it. The 1-16 game at the top, so Ohio State and Kent State. Washington, Buffalo, 8-9. Oklahoma State, Marshall is the 5-12. The 4 seed versus the 13 seed is Florida and Wake. Then we've got San Jose State, who won the Mountain West Conference, taking on Virginia. And the 3:14 game is Oklahoma, Mizzou, former Big 12 matchup there. So I liked that one. I put those two teams together. We also have a 6-11 matchup with San Jose State taking on, Virginia, Oklahoma, Missouri. Then we've got in the 7-10 in that region, North Carolina State taking on SMU. And there's Oklahoma and Penn State. The other game I messed up. That was BYU and Missouri. My bad. BYU and Missouri. And then down in the other bracket again, the 2:15 game. Now, this is a game for you in the first round. Oklahoma, Penn State. All right. Then we got our final region there is Clemson Air Force in the 1:16 game. Then we've got an 8-9 matchup with Clemson, Nevada. I like this 5-12 matchup. Texas, Minnesota. I just would be all over that game. I don't know why. Just would be. Coastal in Kentucky, the 4:13 game. You got Ball State as the 6th seed taking on, who is that? UCF. That could be an upset. That could definitely be an 11-6 upset. Then you got Iowa State, LSU. Interesting there. Appalachian State taking on West Virginia. And then finally, the 2:15 game is Georgia and Texas Tech. So I apologize that you guys cannot see the board from back here. I should have, I almost went to the other room to do this, but we were going to do call-ins. That's the only reason we're sitting here, because I was going to do call-ins before I realized that I was doing business with an incompetent company. So I'm kind of thinking that this may fall apart on me here. This may not be, staying with me here. But those were the matchups there. Those were the matchups that I came up with. And that totally was not worth the time, was it? Totally not worth the time. All right, let's get to the live chat and see what's on your mind. In addition to our little 64-team basketball looking field for football in 2020, of course, I'll take any comments that you guys have. And we'll be back tomorrow with a call-in show of some sort, hopefully. If not, I'll either be back with a call-in show tomorrow at some point because the call-in process got fixed, or I just went ballistic and found another phone company. All right. If anybody works for Pure Talk, in the comments section, first of all, my apologies. The word incompetence left my mouth a number of times, but also just to let you know, if you can help me out, this is for the Voice of College Football. This is for the Voice of College Football call-in show. People at Pure Talk should look them up on Twitter right now. Start blasting out some tweets. Go the President Trump route on them. All right. What do you guys have? Very first comment I see here leads me to believe nobody's listening to anything I have to say. Although this comment was made, my bad, Lewis. This comment's from a long, long time ago. Haven't bowled in 25 years, Lewis. Really? I did a lot of bowling in my day. I was never great. I'm your typical average 150, 160 bowler. I'm always going to give you my consistent 150, 160, but it's not going to get any better than that. Except for, once every 10 years, I'll throw 2 bills up there. But that's very rare. 213 is my best. But very average bowler. The Rod Favre was into loving pool and throwing darts, shooting pool and darts. Nate's been to Omaha. I've been to Omaha once. You could probably guess why. I'm guessing you could guess why I made it to Omaha once. You know. Okay. I'm going to go to the bottom of the comments to see where we stand right now. You guys are talking golf, darts, all sorts of business, bowling. Bowling and golf are the sports you can be the worst at, Penn State fan 24 says, and still have a great time. I would agree that with bowling. I would think golf is, I haven't golfed in forever. Golf never did anything for me at all. I never got hooked on golf. Just besides being out in nice weather. Now I'll go to the driving range and have a good old time, just with a big bucket of balls, just trying to hit them as far as you can. But to go golfing and be awful, to be just pathetic at the sport, that always looked to be miserable. We got Horace on the line. Horace, I don't believe that I've ever seen your handle in this live chat or to any of the comments before. I think this is a first. Horace, correct me if I'm wrong. I hope you're not offended by that in any way. But you know what you get because of that. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Would love to know who you root for, how long you've been watching. We've got a Kent State upset pick over the Buckeyes in a 116 matchup. Don't get me wrong, number one Indy fan. I do not want to turn college football into college basketball. This is just an exercise, and let's see what comes up. Seven seed Gators. We had you as a 4, George. You're a 4 seed. Yes, there you go, Joey. You're following along. The Battle of the Mountaineers, App State and West Virginia. Horace, what's the number to call in? What is the number to call in? What is the number to call in? The number tonight is 0. Did Florida with Tebow and Joakim Noah in basketball? I don't know what you're going for, Mark East. Yakov 22, good to see you. Dominic wants to join the talk. Dominic, why? Why do you want to join the talk? Do you have something to bring to the table? So let me ask this. How many people tonight? Oh, you're talking about George. I'm sorry. You're talking about actual basketball with the real seedings. Yeah, the Gators were a 7 seed, weren't they? 14 and 9. I was talking about my little exercise here. I gave the Gators a 4 seed. Yeah. You got to realize, George, that if I'm putting together a basketball style football bracket, then that's all I've got up here is what did I make the seedings out to be for football? So as soon as you said Florida's the 7 seed, I was like, no, they're a 4 seed. I got them a 4 seed. What are you talking about? Yes, my bad, college football addict. I'll get to the football bracket in just a second. My original plan was to be in another place where I could, where I typically do the whiteboard showings and displays. But then I thought, well, I'm going to take calls. And for those of you who missed my phone dilemma story for tonight, my saga with the phone company, please watch the beginning of the video. That's probably going to be the most entertaining thing I can deliver tonight, would be my trashing of the phone company. No, Yakov. Um, I have heard One Shining Moment enough for about 42 lifetimes. I don't need to hear that song again. I don't know that I've heard that song. That's not the Shania Twain version, One Shining Moment. No. I'm thinking of another song. Yes, I'm aware of what you're talking about. The CBS One Shining Moment, that they just have clung to for years. Yeah, I've not watched the NCAA tournament probably in the last 4 or 5 years. And man, 25 years ago, I could have held a college basketball show. I was up on college basketball, not as much as college football, but close. And now, nothing. I turned on the last couple of possessions of Ohio State and Michigan on Saturday, and then yesterday I forgot about all the championship games. Didn't even cross my mind until I saw. Actually, it was my son who said this Ohio State Illinois game is pretty good, and by the time I got around to turning it on, it was over. And so I glanced at a bracket, but I really don't know who's number one besides Gonzaga. I know that there are two Big Ten teams that have number one seeds. So I guess I do know Michigan, Illinois have 1 seeds, and Ohio State and Iowa have 2 seeds. But besides that, man, yeah. Yeah, Lewis, I was at the College World Series in 1997 and 8, or 98 and 99. I don't remember. I know it was 98. Might have been 97, 98, or 98, 99. I was there 2 years in a row. Good to know. Okay, addict. We'll get John here. We will get you on here with the brackets. Oh man, these are tough to show. I did not realize this. This was going to be this difficult. College football addict, this is what I came up with. I've got a 116 game between Alabama and FAU in the same region. Of course, the 8-9 that would play the 1 seed is a game I really love right there, a matchup between Memphis and Wisconsin. I like that one. Then we've got Liberty and Virginia Tech. And if you recall the game between those two teams this year, that's the reason I matched them up. They fit the seedings, but the reason I paired them up was I liked the rematch because that game was a wild and crazy one. And then we've got Iowa and Stanford, rematch of the Rose Bowl from a few years ago. USC and Ole Miss, I think, would be a ridiculously good game. We got Northwestern taking on Fresno State. Oregon and Pitt, Cincinnati and San Diego State. So what? That's our full region over there. Whatever region you want to make that. You can tell me which game you like the best. I like Memphis, Wisconsin. No. You know what? USC and Ole Miss. That's the best game. That 6-11 game would be the best game. And then as we move it to the other region there, that starts with Notre Dame and Hawaii. Oh, man. I should have put my contacts in. You also have Auburn and Boise State. Of course, I put those two together for obvious reasons with Brian Harsin. North Carolina, UAB. You got Utah and Louisiana. That'll be a good game. And then you got Miami Army. Oklahoma. No. Who is that down there? Indiana and Texas San Antonio. And down at the bottom, I know this is hard to see. You've got TCU and Tulsa. And you also have Texas A&M taking on Kansas State. It's one half of the bracket. Boy, do I really need to go through the whole thing here? Here we go. Ohio State and Kent State there at the top. That's a 116 game. Washington, Buffalo. Oklahoma State, Marshall. Florida, Wake. And we got San Jose State, who won the Mountain West against Virginia. BYU and Missouri. NC State and SMU is a 7-10 game. Oklahoma, Penn State. That's a nice little 2-15 game. Bottom bracket. So the best game in that region, the best matchups, probably, even though it's a 2-15, I just want to see Oklahoma and Penn State play. That's all there is to that. Clemson, Air Force, Colorado taking on Nevada. You got Texas, Minnesota. It's a 5-12 game. You got the 4-13s, Coastal and Kentucky. Ball State taking on UCF. Iowa State. And who are they playing? Iowa State is taking on LSU. And then App State and West Virginia and Georgia, Texas Tech. My favorite game out of that, Iowa State and LSU. I'd like to see those two teams play. Potential for an upset there. All right, folks. I apologize that our show's been shot to hell tonight. But again, we had a major issue with our phone company, and they really screwed me. So that's where we stand right now. Appreciate everybody jumping on the line. I'm going to look through the live chat and see if you've got any more comments, and then we will regroup for a big Tuesday of Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Yes, college football addict. Michigan can't even make a 68-team bracket. That's exactly right. 2-4, not going to make the bracket. I think we only had, how many losing teams did we have here? We only had a couple losing teams. A couple teams in the ACC were like 5-6. Virginia Tech 5-6. Minnesota was 3-4. Not many losing teams. Kansas State 4-6. Texas Tech, that was my bottom of the barrel. Kansas State and Texas Tech 4-6. Those were my worst record teams. A couple 4-6 teams, couple 5-6 teams, 3-4 team. That's it. We had about maybe 6 or 7 teams with a losing record. Dominic wants to come on the stream and talk about the 2021 March Madness bracket. Okay, Dominic. to give you that special treatment, I will send you that link. I don't know how, but I'll send you that link. First of all, Dominic, we've got a little issue with a sponsor. You were delivering some kind of sponsor to us tonight, which this would not have been the night to start a sponsorship. But I still have to sign like contracts. I still want to see some kind of deposit into my bank account. So that would be the first thing we would need to talk about, Dominic, is you said you had a sponsor for the show, and I don't know who they are, but I have yet to get their contact information. I have yet to sign any contracts. So that's a disappointment. Northwestern was a 3 and Iowa was a 4 in the seeding process, College Football Addict. Yes, George. The show's offline. I explained that at the beginning. I've been screwed by the phone company tonight. So we will get that fixed. I hope to get it fixed as soon as I jump off here, but my goodness, they seem to have gone home for the day. Like who doesn't provide customer service, at 7:00 at night? The college athletics show. There you go, Lenny. Phil B, Florida State goes NIT. Our NIT college football bracket is headlined by Michigan and Florida State. Michigan, Florida State, UCLA. Throw Tennessee in there. Nice job by them getting into the NIT bracket. But Florida State really is the headline, and Michigan in that NIT football bracket. Three and 6, Phil. Did not get it. 4 and 6 was the worst record. Oh, Lenny taking shots at one Urban Meyer, Ohio State and Florida. The fake health condition bowl. Well, they played that in 2011 at the Gator Bowl. And I believe that was the kind of the nickname for the bowl at the time, was the fake health condition bowl. People were actually using that at the time. The Kiffin Bowl, USC and Ole Miss. Well done. Lenny is feeling as though that 16 seed FAU is a threat. Yes, College Football Addict. I agree. Ole Miss and USC would be a game. These are the games I want to see out of this deal. Memphis and Wisconsin. That's an 8-9 game. I think Iowa and Stanford would have played a good game this year. USC and Ole Miss. That's probably the best game on the board. USC and Ole Miss. Oregon and Pitt. Auburn, Boise State. Louisiana taking on Utah. Jake Bentley, Utah, not Charlie Brewer, Utah. Tulsa, TCU would be a decent game. Oklahoma should take care of Penn State, but still, it's a blue blood game. For some reason, I like Texas and Minnesota. And Appalachian State and West Virginia. The better games are on the left side. I did not. I think for this is not a situation where I went through everything and I just really went through it with a fine-tooth comb and I came up with 64 teams. I pretty much just eyeballed it. But when it all came out, I thought It's all pretty fair. Pretty much lined up the seedings the way they should have been. Yes, Dominic, I could do that on social media, but I'm still, I'm going to grill you about this sponsor. That's all I'm going to do. I won't let that go until we get that resolved. And I'm somewhat kidding. Dominic wants to talk about the brackets. Man, I'm still contemplating this because I'm thinking, what should I force Dominic to have to be able to answer to come onto the show? Because who else gets to come on to the show, Dominic? Dominic, can you name every head coach in the bracket? Can you name them all? Can you name 5? Oh, yeah, Jay, well done. How about the Less Touch Bowl? LSU can't. This is, oh, man, Jay, you hit on a great topic. You hit on an amazing topic. I love it. More to come on this one. And you folks are so much more creative than I am. Your responses to this game matchup, bowl matchup, hypothetical, wink, wink, funny. Let's set up some interesting matchups, some ironic kind of matchups like that one. You guys will do much better than I have done. So Jay is throwing out the Less Touch Bowl. I think I'm going to make this a question on the community page, and we're going to have everybody chime in with their best. And if you've got 10 of them, throw out 10, not just your best one. We're going to throw out our, what should we call this? Jay, what would you call that? That is kind of like the irony bowl, the play on words, the pun bowl, something like that. Your best pun, your best matchup pun that you can come up with. Dominic, I'm sure you can name 5 since you have access to the internet. Mark East. College Football presents the Mark and Dom Epic Show. I don't know if epic is the right word. Okay. Who else wants to be on the show tonight? I'm sending out a link to Dominic. Oh, LSU and Oklahoma State. Well done. LSU and Oklahoma State, the Rod Farva. Good. Yes, College Football Addict. Sub 500 teams in the SEC beat winning teams out of other conferences. Wait a minute. Nate Oates, never heard of him. Scott Drew, don't believe I've heard of him. Is that Bryce Drew's? No, never mind. Mark Pope, not the wide receiver for Miami. Brad Brownell, and Will Wade's the LSU head coach, correct? I could have named you every head coach in the field like 25 years ago. The 100,000 to play bowl, Georgia, Alabama. Good. Yes, George, don't try to call my old number. I don't have phone service. Just wait till you can hear the explanation. It's at the top of the show. All right, let's see here. Dominic, check your messages if I can find you on Dominic, I don't even know what your Twitter handle is. I don't know. Can't find you. What is it? I just copied and pasted the link. Looks like Dominic is missing out. I'm giving Dominic the opportunity to join the show and nothing. George, yes, I don't need to go get my old phone. It's not an old phone. It's an old phone number. Believe me, we've gone through this. All right, Dominic. Dominic, last chance. Dominic, you want to be on the show? Last chance. I need your Twitter handle. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. And sorry, Dominic. I like this game of the week. Oh, Dominic, really? You missed the deadline. You missed the deadline. And if I'm not impressed with this phone call, Dominic, if you don't entertain me or you don't provide me with insight into the brackets, boy, and you need to then answer the sponsorship questions, of course. Well, we're going to start there because I was promised a sponsor. So Dominic, what's your Dominic? I don't know that I'm going to be able to find you. Dominic something 88. Here's what you do, Dominic. Dominic, you send me a DM because I can't find you on Twitter. Dominic, things are winding down here. Send me a DM. You got a couple seconds here. Send me a DM and we can bring you on the show to just marvel us with your basketball knowledge. All right. We're dying a slow and painful death here. So I will be signing off because we've got all of 28 people here, and I think we're wasting everybody's time. We got all of 28 people here. We want to have a good call-in show tomorrow. So what do we need to do? We need to go scream at the phone company. That will either happen, hopefully, over the phone, over the landline that actually works, to get the cell phone back in check. And then if I can't, then I will be sending out nasty tweets and communications online to them. And then I'll get them on the phone during business hours tomorrow. But we'll hopefully do better than that. All right. Appreciate everyone. We've got all sorts of content coming your way, as we always do. Thank you, George. I am the voice of college football, even when all goes all goes wrong. But I appreciate that so much. Thank you for verification there. And we will see everyone soon.